It's nice to have one princess and two princes. Where's your daughter today? My best friend's comment, whom I hadn't seen in a few years, took me aback. My husband and I just have one son. What are you talking about? We only have Tom. She looked puzzled. That's weird. I could have sworn I saw your husband with a little girl the other day. I shot a questioning look at my husband, who quickly defended himself.
She must have seen someone else, not me.
But something about his reaction seemed off. Turns out he had a huge secret. My name's Julie, I'm 29, and most of my time is spent as a stay-at-home mom. It's just Billy, our son Tom, and me. Billy works a typical 9-to-5 job, and we tied the knot about 3 years ago. Busy as life can be, I love watching Tom grow up. I've even picked up sewing as a hobby, making cute outfits for him. We're blessed with a supportive group of family and friends. For the most part, life had been predictable. However, doubts about Billy started creeping in, casting shadows on our happiness. We met in college and became close at a club gathering where I'd had a bit too much to drink, and he took care of me. I felt bad for putting him in that spot, but when I tried to apologize, he brushed it off with a kind smile. His caring nature drew me in, and not long after, we became a couple. From college to the working world, our relationship was strong and steady. He eventually popped the question, and we happily said our I do's. Before we married, he expressed his wish for me to be a stay-at-home mom.
I grew up pretty lonely with both parents working. I don't want that for our kid.
I was on board, so I left my job and embraced homemaking. Our first year as a married couple went by without a hitch, and friends even said they envied our bond. Things changed when he got a new position at work surrounded by the company's top performers. His promotion came with more pay, but also way more stress. Soon his demeanor shifted. Stressed, he started taking out his frustrations on me.
This food tastes awful. You're home all day and this is the best you can do?
I'm sorry, I thought everything was fine.
Whatever, I've lost my appetite. Clean this up. Must be nice playing around all day doing minimal housework and having me support you.
After yelling at me, he threw his food on the floor and stormed into his room. I cleaned up, crying. His abusive behavior didn't stop there. He'd lash out at me for buying makeup, calling it wasteful, and if I watched TV for a bit, he'd snap at me to stop lazing around. Nights became unpredictable with him either coming home late or not at all. Many might have considered ending the marriage, but I held on to hope that the loving man I married was still there. When I became pregnant with Tom, things started to look up. His attitude mellowed, especially after Tom's birth. He stepped up, apologized for his past actions, and vowed to be better.
I'm so sorry for everything. I promise to be the best husband and father.
With that, I believed we were back on track. As time went on, I took up crafting handmade children's items and even started an online shop. I started sewing because I wanted to craft some clothes for my son, but I soon found myself hooked. I began creating children's apparel, fabric toys, baby accessories, and just about anything else I could think of. Initially, it was all for fun. However, after giving a few items to family and friends, they raved about the quality and even suggested I sell them. So, I opened an online shop. Business has been booming, with many loyal customers coming back. I've even begun to handle special custom orders, which, while a tad more expensive, are always in demand. But lately something's been amiss. Several of the toys and stuffed animals I made on a whim have vanished. I wondered, did I just put them somewhere and forget? After tearing apart the house searching for them, I came up empty. I even asked Billy about it, but he just shrugged, saying no clue. It felt off. Things escalated when a custom-made stuffed animal disappeared. While the loss of the other toys was odd, this was an item someone had ordered and paid for. This wasn't just an oversight, it felt like theft. The customer was one I'd worked with several times before. I contemplated reporting it, but Billy was dead set against involving the cops.
Involve the police over a missing toy? Think about the neighborhood gossip,
he said, looking more frazzled than necessary. I countered, it's not just any toy, it's a paid order. What if someone's targeting our house? We can't overlook this. He retorted.
Let's search again. Maybe you overlooked it. If it's still gone, then maybe we can think about the police. I'll help.
We went back and forth, but in the end I decided to wait a few more days before making a report. However, the very next day, the missing toy was suddenly back, in a spot I'd checked multiple times. When I pointed it out, Billy just smirked.
See? Told you.
He implied I was forgetful, suggesting the other missing items might just be misplaced as well. While I acknowledged him, something felt off. Fast forward a bit, and while out shopping, I bumped into my high school friend Lindsay. "Julie? Is that you?" she exclaimed. "Oh my gosh, Lindsay. Wow, it's been 3 years? How's life been?" "Amazing! I finished up my work in Italy and just returned." She'd moved to Italy short after attending our wedding, so this was a mini reunion of sorts. As we chatted, Tom grew restless. I was about to wrap up when she threw me for a loop. "Where's your daughter today? It's nice to have one princess and two princes." I was baffled. Billy and I only have Tom. Why did she think we had a daughter too? "What are you talking about? We only have Tom." But she looked certain. "That's weird. I could have sworn I saw your husband with a little girl the other day." According to her, she'd been back for a week, and while preparing for her new life alone, she saw Billy at a supermarket holding a 1-year-old girl. She greeted him, but he just walked away without responding. She figured he hadn't heard her and thought she'd greet him next time. That's why she assumed we first had a daughter, then a son. I shot Billy a look, but he just turned away looking uneasy. We quickly wrapped up our conversation with Lindsay, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Billy was hiding something from me. After getting home, I cornered him. "All right, what's the deal? No one in our families has a 1-year-old girl. Are you messing around behind my back?" He looked genuinely frightened by my questions, but he firmly denied everything.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Lizzie must have confused me with someone else. Tom's our only kid.
His evasiveness was written all over his face, but I knew pushing him wouldn't lead to a confession. I decided to pretend to believe him and apologized with a remorseful look. "You're right. You never hurt Tom or me. People do have doppelgangers after all. I just jumped to conclusions after what Lindsay said. I'm sorry." Looking relieved, he said,
It's okay. Anybody would have been rattled by that kind of comment. But can we move on? I'm starving. Is dinner ready?
"Yeah, I'll get started. I've got your favorite steak ready to go." On the outside, things seemed resolved. He likely thought he had thrown me off the scent, but I wasn't about to drop it. I was determined to uncover the truth. I hired a private eye to tail him. I played it cool, making it seem like everything was normal between us. Initially, he seemed a bit suspicious, but eventually he let his guard down, completely unaware of my moves behind the scenes. A month later, the PI delivered his findings. As I had feared, Billy was cheating. The evidence pointed to a colleague of his, named Erica. They'd been seeing each other for about 2 years, which coincided with when his behavior at home started to change. The twist was, Erica believed she was the main woman in his life, and thought they were married. Photos of her showed a young girl, probably her daughter. In one of the pics, the little girl was holding one of my handmade items that had mysteriously disappeared. Billy had likely swiped it and given it to them. I was livid. As part of the surveillance, I learned they'd all be at a department store event on a day Billy told me he'd be on a business trip. I left Tom with my folks and staked out the location. Before long, there they were, Billy, Erica, and the little girl acting like a picture-perfect family. I walked up and said, "Looks like a fun day out. Mind if I join?" Erica looked puzzled, but Billy went ghost white.
What are you doing here?
He stammered. Erica, taken aback by his reaction, queried, Who are you?" Keeping my cool, I answered, "I'm Julie, and Billy, the man you're with, is my husband." She gasped. "Your husband?" Clearly shaken, we agreed to continue our conversation at my place. Once there, we compared notes. I showed her our wedding photos and marriage certificate. Faced with the undeniable evidence, she went pale. Billy, for his part, couldn't even meet our eyes. After everything came to light, Erica shared that she started seeing Billy around 2 years ago. When she became pregnant, she proposed marriage. They completed the marriage forms and she trusted him to turn them into City Hall. Turns out he never did, so they weren't technically married. As for the handmade items I recognized, Billy had given those to her as gifts. Finally, Billy, looking defeated, fessed up.
The stress from work got to me. I planned to end things with Erica, but then she got pregnant. We work at the same place, so walking away wasn't simple. That's why I lied about us being married.
He was clearly shaken, but I couldn't muster any sympathy. My anger flared, and I could see Erica felt similarly. She shot Billy an icy look, then turned to me. I'm really sorry. I had no clue about any of this. It's one thing to cheat, but to have a child. She said she'd compensate me for the ordeal. I saw her genuine remorse and figured she was another victim in all of this. I reassured her. You don't have to apologize. I'm sorry my husband put you through this. Take some time for yourself and we can figure things out later. As her daughter grew restless, Erica took her leave, apologizing profusely. I confronted Billy next. We're getting a divorce. I thought you were a decent guy, but then you pulled this? Get ready to pay alimony and child support. Terrified, he dropped to his knees, pleading.
I didn't plan on having a kid with her. I only found out about the pregnancy when it was too late. I love you and Tom. I promise I won't see her again.
Don't see her again? That's your child. You need to step up. He desperately suggested.
We could leave everything behind, move somewhere else with Tom. It's her child. She decided to have it. Let her raise it on her own. Let's move somewhere far with Tom. Okay, honey?
I snapped back. Seriously? You think I'd go for that? You're unbelievable. We're so over. Just stay away from Tom and me, you pathetic loser. He started crying, and all I could do was shake my head. A few months down the line, after navigating the legal maze, the divorce was finalized. Of course, I got custody of Tom, and Billy was on the hook for alimony and child support. Erica also pursued him for child support and damages. While she wanted to compensate me, I refused. She was in the same boat as a single mom. Though it all, Erica and I supported each other. I moved back with my parents, who were livid with Billy, but super helpful with Tom. I managed to land a job not long after. A few days post-divorce, I got a call from Billy's parents apologizing for everything. They filled me in on how he was doing, and it wasn't pretty. After Erica quit and spilled all the beans, Billy got a demotion at work. Now he's dealing with judgment from coworkers while juggling payments to both of us. His parents are ensuring he keeps up with his financial commitments. They're genuinely kind-hearted, and even with a busy job, I continue to make clothes for Tom. There'll be hurdles along the way, but I'm committed to doing my best for my son.